I think we are. Does it show that we're recording on your end?
Yep.
Okay.
Says we've started.
Awesome.
Right. We're here, everybody. Wednesday night chats. We love it. I love that we can record it and share it because me and Janet and people that we invite in have such awesome discussions. So tonight we're covering postpartum depression level 3. And so the theme today is kind of stuck in a rut. And so we've invited a friend here to talk with us, and it's Amber, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Amber's with us tonight. So we're excited to just chat. We're just going to be moms and grandmas and whoever wants to listen in. We hope that it really helps you guys because that's what we're here for. We're trying to just help those moms out there that are struggling. So yeah.
So a while ago, Elise and I and some other friends started talking about, it was during the COVID time, what we could do to help people with postpartum depression. And some of our friends that live in Salt Lake City, they said, wow, it's just such an epidemic. And there's really nowhere to go for mom and baby to go. And so I've always had a dream of having a spot in the woods, like a cabin in the woods that a mom and baby can go and other moms can come and take care of a mom and baby. And so it's not real dramatic and it's more in nature instead of in a facility, Anyway, so we have these dreams that are kind of long-term dreams, but until then, we're going to just do everything we can to help other moms. And even though I'm a grandma and my raising children days is gone, way gone, I'm done with that. But I remember how it was to not feel supported when I was going through those times that we didn't even talk about. We didn't have names for what postpartum or depression and anxiety. So I found that you have to name it. You have to name it and address it. And not play like it's not there, or you won't get to the root of it and you won't be able to start researching and finding answers, because each person's postpartum depression seems like it can have different roots and different beginnings. And so you have to be able to be comfortable saying, yeah, I'm dealing with postpartum depression. I'm probably on a level 2 or a level 3 or whatever. And in visiting with Amber a little bit, I haven't visited with you much, so this will be kind of the first time that we've really talked, but it sounded kind of like to me, you maybe were in that level 3 some of the times. Maybe not today, but some of the times. Can you kind of tell us about where you're at with it?
Yeah, so I had my first daughter in 2013, and she had a lot of medical challenges. She has 2 genetic syndromes, heart defects, feeding issues. And so I was kind of thrown to the wolves in that aspect, not only a new mom dealing with normal postpartum depression and all of that, but I'm trying to, make sure my baby is getting all this super crazy medical care and staying on top of it. And she had 14 medical specialists. It was a lot. We weren't near any family at the time. My husband was in the Army, so I didn't have the support that I needed when dealing with all this stuff. And then I had my son in 2017, and same thing. He was healthy, but I had hyperemesis the whole time I was pregnant with him. So I was just nutritionally and mentally depleted from that. And then so colicky. I still had, of course, my toddler. I'm just trying to balance all of these things. And I was still trying to heal from my birth with my daughter. Her medical stuff that we had gone through definitely left me with some serious PTSD and really, really bad anxiety about their health and well-being and keeping them alive as their mom.
Yeah.
And as time went on, I'm I can just push through this. It's going to be fine. And, it would plateau for a while. And I'd be see, I'm fine. And then something little would happen, like a fall at the playground, or, maybe we almost got in a car accident on the highway. And then it would just send me absolutely reeling. And I would kind of just spiral. And then I would have these I mean, I still have these episodes where every night for a couple nights, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if I bring them to the playground tomorrow, they're going to die. If, we're at the beach today and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the car doing this, what's going to happen? I'm not there to make sure everything's okay. And sometimes I can talk myself out of it. I'm like, they're with their dad, they have their life jackets, you know what I mean? But there are days where I can't talk myself out of it and it's not getting better. And it's just like, I'm kind of at this fork in the road. I can't just keep pushing myself and saying it'll just get better, because it hasn't gotten better. And it's been 4 years since I had my son. My daughter's turning 8. And this has been something I'm just like pushing. And essentially I'm just pushing myself,
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw out that disclaimer really quick that neither Elise or I are licensed. I was talking to you about that a little bit, Amber, that I don't have a license. We just have ideas, and sometimes we're inspired, and other times it's experience that we've had with other people that, can kind of help us with some ideas. But you definitely have the PTSD because of your daughter's birth and illness, medical situations. But with PTSD, you get PTSD because things happen to people, either you or somebody near you, that are life and death situations that you couldn't control, and somebody almost lost their life. And so it started there, I feel like, unless something started when you were younger that was even life and death situation. But it starts there, and it's like, if you can't deal with the root of that, it'll keep being triggered and keep triggering. And there's a point where sometimes anxiety medicine and, there is medicine, different kinds of medicine. It seems like they're coming up with more and more different things that you can try. But I've noticed when I talk to people that have tried medicine that the only time that they're successful is if they will communicate with their doctor really often and really track themselves, like with journaling or something, or like a chart, and track themselves so that they don't lose track of. So when they go talk to their doctor, they know exactly why it didn't work and exactly what happened. And so the communication with the doctor is so pertinent if you're going to use medication. I wanted to ask you if you're visiting with, are you visiting with anybody with talk therapy, like CBD therapy? And
No. So over the years, like I've met with a couple therapists, and it's like we didn't click, I didn't connect with them the way I really, really wanted to. I've always found like this, like I find community and support elsewhere, and while it doesn't fix it, it kind of helps me along. And it helps me kind of like regulate myself a little better. But yeah, I've tried working with people, and it wasn't working for me. I didn't connect with them. I did try medication back after I had my daughter. I think she was 1.5 years. And like you said, like you have to communicate with your doctor. And I was just starting it. I was still so overwhelmed, and I was just very passive about it. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to take this every day and everything will magically be fine. And it wasn't the case. And I was having like really awful nightmares on the new medication. And so eventually I just stopped taking it, and I never communicated that with my doctor, which was like a horrible idea. And yeah, so that's where I'm at.
well, Amber, I've seen people, that seems to be, that are as deep and in level 3 like you are, that have overcome it with self-care and natural things. It just really, no matter what you do, you have to really put some time into it, and you have to journal, and you have to kind of analyze yourself almost momentarily throughout the day. And talking to somebody is really helpful, whether it's a community or a friend or like what we're doing, because you can kind of say, now, my fear is that my kids will not survive the day at the park or the day at the lake or those fears are really, people have lost their kids with swimming, with drowning and different things. And so it's not like that could never happen, but it is good to talk to somebody and go and listen to them say, um, you're doing everything you can as a mom, and you're doing all the right things. And if something does happen and you lose your child, it was not because you didn't do everything you could. We only have so much control over our loved ones. Um, we just don't have the ultimate control, 100% control over them.
Yeah. I think that, Janet, when I'm listening to Amber, as a mom myself, with voice these concerns, it's like, yeah, I've had those before. Any normal level, those are good. Those are good thoughts to have. It's good to be protective. It's good to have them. But I almost feel like your thoughts are on adrenaline, like the thoughts in your brain, they just are going way above and beyond. And yeah, that's so hard to deal with that. So I understand what you're saying. It's something, so it's not that you want to get rid of the thoughts that yourself, that you're having,
because they're good and healthy.
They're healthy thoughts. It's just if they get amped up and get going, right? It's just
and that's the anxiety part of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I understand those feelings and how they can spiral quickly.
Elise, I love how you made the point that those are actually very good for mothers to worry about their kiddos at the park or at the lake and stuff. It's actually God-given emotions and thoughts. Right. But yeah, it's when it's at level 3 and it's not healthy anymore, because it's actually interfering with your sleep and your happiness. Right. And meanwhile, you don't enjoy the ones that you're so worried about because you're too worried about them, right?
Right. And it's like, I can't just take them to the park. I can't go for a walk. I can't take them swimming. Like, even just driving here, I'm like an absolute wreck most of the time. And my poor husband, he's just like, I need a partition. Like, I'm fine. We're driving. It's fine. Like, there's a brake light. It's okay, And then that gives him anxiety. Like, I'm just like spilling my stuff over onto him. And and then like at nighttime is usually when it's like the worst because I have nothing else going on. And before bed, we'll talk about like our plans for the weekend, or, I'll get like an invite on Facebook. I got an invite the other day for like a toddler hike. And I was just like, oh, that sounds cool. And I'm like, wait, what if there's a part where there's no fence and my son runs because he thinks he's Sonic and he falls off? And then I play out this whole crazy scene in my head and I talk myself out of it. And so I'm missing out, but my kids are missing out too. That's not very fun to them to just stay in the house.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you talk to your kids about, and I don't want to say that you tell them your concerns, because that's probably not healthy to be telling them all the time what you're worried about. But it comes to mind. So like if we're going to go in a restaurant and my anxiety is like, they're going to spill everything. They're going to make a huge mess. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to take off. They're not going to, it just goes and goes and goes. And so like one of my coping mechanisms that I have is like, we park the car, we're stopped, and I'm like, okay, what are the rules? And they just start spouting off rules. They're like, stay with mommy, don't run around, don't talk to people that aren't with our group, and they go on and on. And what's really funny is they start making up rules that I wouldn't even think of. And I'm like, yeah, that, yep.
Train them well.
That's right. And we don't spill food, we don't spill drinks. And so it's, that's one of my coping mechanisms, at least, is like, do I make sure, like if you're scared of him, like you mentioned, running and falling off an edge that's not doesn't have a barrier, like, okay, well, let's talk about it. What do you do when we're on this hike? What are the rules? If you stay by mommy, we leave, that kind of thing, where it's kind of putting protective boundaries on your mind as well. Sometimes, like, if you're going to go on that hike, you talk to him about it and say, hey, I would love to go on this hike with you, but there's parts that can be dangerous, and so I need you to stay with me. But if we don't stay together, we're not gonna stay, and that kind of stuff. Just like thinking of ways to help set boundaries for them, so that your brain doesn't have to be so overwhelmed. It's kind of my
So it is. I was just thinking about the fact that your mind is going automatically to the very worst case scenario. And so you covered that, and now, maybe in a situation where you're invited to go do something with the children, maybe you could go, worst case scenario is death, obviously, but maybe you can kind of work your way up one step at a time, Maybe you can and then best case scenario is you go and have a wonderful time and you breathe in and out. You enjoy hearing their laughter, and you kind of just feel what that's going to feel like to have those bonding moments with them, with nature, and kind of work your way out of that hole. And it's sometimes helpful. Like I've had my husband coach me, and I'll tell him, you know what, it doesn't help me when you tell me that I'm being ridiculous. And it just actually makes me shut down to even opening up to you and stuff. And so I will tell him, you know what, if you can just reassure me, honey, I've checked this kiddo and their life jacket's on there properly, and I've checked this one, and I can see him. I can run over there quick enough to take care of him if they started drowning. And if he could just be calm and patient in his voice, and you could express to him, you're kind of my coach. This is kind of like labor again, all over. And and sometimes we get labor twice with the same kids, and maybe teaching them words and phrases that actually calm you down. And then I really feel like that how you take care of yourself in the day, like meditation and eating properly and getting grounding, walking barefoot on the grass or on the gravel or on the sand. Being at the beach is wonderful therapy because it helps your recharge. And it's like they say Earth is like a negative ions and your body is positive ions, and they need the negative ions or something. I don't know how to describe it. It's been a while since we did the earthing video, but if you can take care of yourself all day, then it won't be as likely that you lay in bed and go, oh, what about this? What about that? And oh, what if she has this terrible illness and I'm gonna lose her? Another thing with self-care is watch and make sure you're not getting caffeine. Oh, no.
I'm the worst coffee offender. I'll have 2 cups in the morning, and I know by the end of my second cup, I'm like, this is not good for me up here. I feel it. So I'm like, all right. And then, later on in the day, I'll crash because I amp myself up to get stuff done, and then I'll crash. And I think that definitely plays a part in my end of the day kind of spiral that I have.
Yes.
I one time I went 10 days without coffee, and once I got past the first 3 days of migraines and stuff,
yes, yeah.
I felt so good. And I was doing CBD,
Yeah.
L-theanine, and what was it? Ashwagandha.
Oh,
Nice. My
nice.
gosh, I felt so good.
Wow.
So good. But I just got complacent and I stopped. I think definitely the foundation of my mental health and my anxiety and everything is self-care, giving myself the nutrients that I need and the stress relief that I need. And then everything else kind of falls into place, I think.
Yeah.
So I have a couple things that I wanted to throw in there, just thoughts that are going. I love that you recognize when you do feel better and all those things that helped. I really recommend writing them down, making a really pretty printout or something and post it right on your fridge, because you need a visual when you're going through the hard times to see that and be like, oh, that's when I felt good. That's what I need to keep doing, because we forget. I have to post mine over and over again. Mine gets taken down off the fridge and I have to like reprint it out and post it back up there. Cause yeah, it's a roller coaster and you feel good for a while. And then if you just crash, then all of the good habits go out the window. So I love that you know what will help you. And I highly encourage you to post it everywhere, mirror on your everywhere. And then I love that what Janet said about coaching your husband on what to say. Because you said in the car, he's like, oh my gosh, she's like talking again and freaking out. And he doesn't know what to do. And he's probably like, I hear this so many times, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So I think that helping coach him, say, hey, when I'm freaking out, it would help me if you said this. Or if you come to him and say, hey, I'm freaking out about this. I know it's not rational, but I'm still freaking out about it. I need you to help me make steps.
Work beyond it.
Not so crazy feeling. And things like that. I think that if you help coach him or figure you, it will even help you guys come closer together, because when he's able to help you, it makes him feel more connected with you.
And the crazy thing is that she's dealing with an army. The army is a big deal. Like being a wife of a guy in the services is a whole nother aspect.
Yep.
Like that also is just extremely hard, because you deal with them being gone for so long and you're kind of a single parent sometimes.
Right. Yeah. A lot of both my postpartum experiences, I was just on my own, with my son. Like we had just moved to Washington. We didn't know anyone. We didn't have any family. I was super sick. And then I had a 2-week-old and my husband was going to leave for 6 weeks. And it was awful. It was so hard. Hard.
Dang. So you're in the East Coast now?
No, we're actually in Portland, Oregon.
Oregon. Oh, okay. I love Portland, Oregon. Do you have a support, like a community? Do you know anybody in your community that have their husbands gone or their spouse gone to the armed services?
We don't know anyone here. He got out.
Okay.
Yeah, he got a job. And so that's why we ended up here. It was kind of close to Washington when he got out. We were like, oh, we'll just go to Portland. It's right there. So we don't know anyone here. We don't have family here still. It's crazy.
Well, Elise was talking, we were talking to somebody else and she says, boy, you just need your people, you need your, how did you put that?
Need your village.
Yeah, your village. Yeah. I mean, Healing Mama Hearts, we're able to talk and we kind of connect with each other that way, but it would be even so much better if you had people you can meet with and have lunch with and go, wow, are these thoughts just like way off the top? And, kind of chat with them as well, face to face.
Yeah. I became a postpartum doula actually because of all of this stuff. And I was like, I want to help other families not go through this by themselves. And so I just started, I think in November. And so I have like a tiny little postpartum community here that I've been building, and that's been super helpful.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, if there's anybody that we know of in that or in Portland, Oregon, we could refer them to you,
I'd love that.
That's awesome. Because really, truly, when you're serving other people, Amber, and I don't mean like just crazy, not giving yourself any time and just always taking care of other people, but I don't mean that. I mean, when you lend an ear to other women and your heart, tries to understand other people, it gets on you and it helps you.
It does. It super fills my cup. Like,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
That's awesome that you're reaching out to other women. And that's one thing that we do, even though we're not completely healed. You may never be completely 100% done with anxiety and depression. You might not. Some people have to deal with that for a long time, and it's just kind of something, like heart disease or diabetes or something that, sometimes it bothers some people for quite a while, and other people can work through it. It's definitely not exaggerating to say that it's postpartum, even though I think it started with your first daughter, with your daughter, and then when you've just kept on with it. But, wow.
I love that you have taken this stewardship, because stewardships not only are the good things in our lives, they're also the bad things and the hard things. And when you take that hard thing and you make it something that can help others and that you can serve others with, that's also taking the stewardship that you've been given. And that's just awesome. So I applaud you with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, you might even could, when you meet with other women somewhere, somehow through, park days or church or whatever, even just, I don't know, if you just meet people wherever, if you could even explain to them, once you get to know them well enough, hey, when we plan something, if I back out, it's probably because of anxieties, and, help them to understand where you're coming from, because chances are they deal with that too. Maybe to some extent or another, it might not be exactly what you're dealing with, but, to some extent. So, yeah, and we're willing to chat with you too. I mean, I chat with people individually online, and yeah, you can get a lot of support with Healing Mama Hearts. Feel free to just talk about anything on there. Really, nothing is too personal on Healing Mama Hearts. Don't you agree, Elise?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things posted, where I'm like, wow, back in my days, that would have been unheard of. But see how many people that helped to go, oh, she's dealing with stretch marks too, or oh, this and this, So I really feel like we've kind of touched on a lot of different things, Amber, but I'm feeling like I'm going to message you when we're done and just kind of recap some of the things. I jotted down a few things that I thought, because you don't want to just like throw a whole bunch of ideas, that could cause anxiety all night tonight. And so it would be smart to just go with a couple of the things that you could change. One of the things I was thinking about with your ice, is it an iced drink, iced coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so those kind of, like, not only is it just so refreshing on these incredibly hot days, I don't know about Oregon, but here in Missouri, it's so hot. And so, yeah, so I found that just going into the store and getting a kombucha or something different that doesn't have as much caffeine in it, or making a milkshake that's got protein in it, or just something cold that also is like a treat,
Right.
But yeah, the coffee is huge for anxiety, depression, nerves.
Yeah. We talked about that in our last video. When we talked about medication, it was that when you're drinking so much caffeine, you're almost pretty much self-medicating yourself. Caffeine is kind of on the same lines as anxiety medication, so it's, your body wants it. It's like, I need this, because it's trying to thing and fix something that's going on. So yeah,
It's definitely like, oh, I'm having like a stressed out moment, let's go get coffee kind of thing. Definitely true of that.
Yeah.
And it could be worse. You could be, smoking a pack of cigarettes a day or something, but definitely protein powder. Like some places you can stop. I don't know if the coffee shop there will. Oh, Oregon's very healthy oriented. Maybe they would give you a protein shake or something, sell something to you that will calm your nerves and feed your nerves, and vitamins and minerals, and give you that jump on your day in a natural way instead of the caffeine.
I have this what is it called, an adaptogen drink that you can actually use as like a coffee replacement. But I have this really bad habit of like, I have all of these tools, but I don't use them.
Yeah. Yep, and that is kind of part of depression and anxiety, is you just kind of slide from one day to the next, and you're like, and so you kind of need to give yourself credit every single day that you are doing well. You're able to talk about it, for one, and that's really big. You're able to talk to your husband and other people about it. You were able to get up and make breakfast, and you kind of have to start on smaller things. And I do think having a little checklist that you look at when you get up, that's like, shower, breakfast, vitamins, or whatever, just a few things. Don't overwhelm yourself, because seriously, if I write too long of a chart, I just wad it up and throw it. I get so sick of great big lists,
It's simple.
Have like 3 or 4 things that you're like, I have to get these done today to have a good day.
Yeah.
My coffee replacement drink and my,
writing in your journal. I think it would be really neat. I mean, usually your spouse would maybe just hear about when he's not doing the right thing to support you with anxiety and stuff with your children. But it would be really neat if you catch him being very supportive and saying the right things and helping out and saying, wow, my anxiety level went down, just seeing and hearing your calm voice and seeing you do these things, because you're protecting these kids. You're protecting me too. And kind of like, and then feed him more ways that he can help you and support you. And, it is amazing. Our guys want to be our protectors. They really do. And if he's strong and he doesn't deal with a lot of anxiety and depression, maybe you can put a little bit more on him of keeping the kids safe when he's there. So you can relax and go do 15 minutes of meditation or writing in your journal or whatever for you while he's keeping them safe.
Same thing goes for like laundry and dishes. If you tell them that they're doing a good job, they like that.
Yeah. It's so true. I mean, they're just human like we are. Yeah.
But yeah, that's I like that idea, just that letting him have some of the protection. He wants to be a protector, and kind of giving some of that responsibility to him, and even communicating that with him. Be like, honey, I just love that you want to protect us and keep our kids safe. So I'm going to give some of that to you, because I feel like I have all of it right now, and I just want to give some of that to you, Yeah.
And you could even tell him, I know this sounds ridiculous, but because our children are safe, it almost feeds my mind. It almost tells me that because of my stress and worry, that kept them safe. Like you worrying about something and then nothing bad happened almost reinforces in your mind that you kept them safe all this time. You've kept them safe.
Big time. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because like anytime I'm like, oh, well, like, I just won't look, and like, because sometimes I catch myself and I'm like just staring at them like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so if I just try and distract myself, I'm like, okay, if I don't watch, like, it'll be fine. And then like, of course, like, one time he like trips and scrapes his knee. I'm like, oh, look what happened, And I totally trick myself into thinking like, if I just stare at them and like hold my breath, it'll be fine. Which is not, that's really not it. I know that's not it.
Amber, that is so level 3. This is like you are right when you said, I'm really worried, because that is very, very common for level 3 anxiety and postpartum. You know, that is, yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's taking up so much energy and so much of my time, and I'm just like, I'm exhausted. That oh,
Yeah.
are you there?
Yeah, I can see Elise, but not you. Darn it, Amber.
My phone just like timed out. Hold on.
Uh-oh. Oh, the screen went off.
Oh
The
no. Can you
We
see me?
we can see you.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, Amber, it was really good visiting with you. I love how truthful and you know what's going on. You're not being naive about the level of anxiety and depression that you're experiencing. But I love that you have moments that you can go to the beach and you can kind of breathe for a minute, and maybe those moments will expand and be a little more time that you actually can relax a little and go, wow, they're all happy. And yes, my kids are going to get scrapes and bruises. They are going to everything. They're going to. That's just part of our mortal existence on this earth. And
I
wow.
just want to throw real quick. I just remember when I was babysitting, and it was so funny because I was a teenager, and this mom, every time the kid would fall and scrape his knee or anything, she would kind of escalate and be like, "Oh no, are you okay? Are you okay? What can I do? What can I do to help?" And he was like, just like tears and blood,
Oh,
you know what? And I wasn't really raised that way. I think my parents, I don't know. Anyway, but she left and I was babysitting, and he did the same thing. He fell and scraped his knee or something. And I said, "Whoa, are you okay? That was a big one." And he looked at me and he just kind of like, "That's not the reaction I usually get." Yeah, I'm good. Let's go. You know? And it's just so funny. Yeah, we have to retrain ourselves. If
Yeah.
Life's going to happen, our bodies are meant to experience different things and get hurt and come back from it and do all these things. So yeah, it's messy. Life is messy. Everyone's messy. Our brains and our thoughts and everything we go through. So.
Yeah, I love how one of the things at some point I realized that my daughter was swearing. She was saying a swear word that's my favorite swear word at the time. And she just barely learned to start. She was just barely starting to talk, and she said this swear word. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's what I say when something breaks in the house. I say the SHIT word, right? And she would just say that every time something happened. And I realized that I was overreacting when things would drop and break. I would just kind of, like what you described, Elise, just kind of, oh, and I'd swear. And so, and this was like 25 years ago. And I remember going, okay, I am going to say, everybody's okay. Everybody's still breathing. Everybody's okay. Messes can be cleaned up. And so I would repeat these things every time an accident happened. And those kids started doing that instead of just, oh no. And, we just said, everybody's still okay. And even to this day, when one of my kids, they're all adults now, and there's a loud bang in one of the rooms, they say, I'm okay, Mom. Everybody's fine. Everybody's alive. Because my reaction was just, it was just a spontaneous reaction. So I had jotted down some of the things. It says, notice that you're having the thought, and that and sometimes as you catch it, it'll be quicker and quicker and quicker. And pretty soon you'll catch yourself before you have that thought of, oh no, that person is, she's not looking well. She's gonna, pretty soon you're gonna train your mind to acknowledge that's my anxiety talking, and putting it aside and going, instead of looking through your anxiety at the rest of the world, then you're going to put your anxiety over here and go, wow, that is anxiety. And here's my clear, I can see this situation clearly because I'm not looking through anxiety. I'm looking at it over here, and kind of like play tricks with your mind. It sounds like you're able to go, okay, and so instead of looking through the lens of anxiety, you're looking at it over here like it's its own identity. It's not you.
Right.
And just breathe in and out with things that normally, you could even say to your husband, normally my heart would be racing and I would be just all these negative thoughts going through my brain. But right now I'm doing really good because I can see that you're right by them. You're going to grab them if anything happens. And if they do trip and skin their knee and skin their lip and get a bloody lip or whatever, that's kind of part of being a kid. But you're going to start putting those thoughts aside as they're not really you. It's just a thought.
Right.
It's not your identity. It's not Amber. It's a anxiety thought, so playing tricks with your mind on different things and, is good that way, to kind of work out, kind of creep out of that deeper anxiety and the thoughts that are the negative thoughts. Because like we were talking about in our last video, when you get in that rut of anxiety and negative thoughts, the longer it plays in your head, the deeper the groove is and the harder it is to weed it out. And so pretty soon you're going to get to where just that little tiny indication of anxiety, you're going to go, okay, nope, I'm replacing it with the sound of their laughter or some beautiful music I'm going to put on, or fun music or whatever, and kind of just rule it out. But yeah, I'll message you and we'll just kind of keep in touch. And Amber, you can get in touch with us on a personal level, or you can just visit with us, just post on Healing Mama Hearts. I'm experiencing this today. Do you guys have any great ideas for me? Just because we talk doesn't mean that you are completely on, in the right direction and you're not going to deal with it anymore. It's just kind of a little vitamin for you for now.
I love that. A stepping stone.
Yeah. Yep. And don't get discouraged with yourself if you're like posting on Healing Mama Hearts, I'm dealing with this again. Sometimes it just comes up and comes up and comes up over and over, and just be patient with the healing process, because it really is about healing. Anxiety and depression tells you something about what you get to heal. So
work to do.
Yeah, you do, but I love that you can laugh and you can, you know what you need to do. You do. Just take a couple things at a time and work with it, and let your husband know what you're doing,
For sure.
Yeah.
Guys.
Awesome. So good to visit with you. I love it. I learned so much visiting with moms. So cool.
That is very cool. I love it.
So neat that you would be willing to do a video with us, because it really is kind of makes you feel vulnerable. But one of the things about healing is being vulnerable, being willing to be honest about things that or showing up when your makeup isn't perfect, and you just run in off the beach into the car, and I love it. I love that you would just do that. It's so cool. Anyway, we'll visit more. I hope to see you on Healing Mama Hearts. I hope you check in with us often. Okay, cool. Thanks, Amber.
Thank you, guys.
I've got to figure out how to stop this and how